I'm hoping that further in O'Malley's career, he gets this like rogue mentality where he's like, you know what, I don't give a fuck about this robotic bullshit, right? And because I feel like
Never gonna happen.
I feel like O'Malley is right on the issue. Yeah, he has to be deprogrammed, which is difficult to do. He's only hurting himself with his delivery. I think he's right on the issues, but he seems insincere because of his robotic nature.
I look, you can criticize me for this. I literally can't listen to him. I have to try really, really hard to get past his intonations and his practiced fake way of talking. He sounds like a local news anchor. And he does the squint. And then
the rolling of the sleeves.
The rolling of the sleeves and the loosening of the tie. Everything is dripping of fakeness. So I have to try really hard to like get past all that to hear what he's saying. And when I hear it, half of it is John is right, Anna's right. Good policy, nothing wrong with it. Good, solid, progressive talk, right? Half of it is, I met a farmer, and I met a family. Like, with the fucking practice fakeness that your consultant taught you, I can't stand it anymore, right? And then even when he tries to get more inspirational and he raises the volume of his voice, he can't control it, unlike Austin Powers. And he does it on purpose, and everything is fake, so it's distracting. And you guys and John mentioned this earlier. It would have worked in another time, right? This is what the reason the consultants teach you this is because this is what people used to respond to. But we're in this time. If he's not going to get in a hot tub time machine, he's got to realize that people are not interested in standard politicians at this time. It's working against them, not for him.
I think it's also it's out of his hands at this point. If Bernie Sanders wasn't in the race and we had had the same debates that we've had, I might support Martin O'Malley over Hillary because they're both generally progressive-ish, but he doesn't come loaded down with the devotion to Wall Street, and he doesn't seem as likely to send 40,000 troops into Syria or Iraq. So it's roughly the same thing, except a couple of key, very important points he's better on. But Bernie is better on those points and all the others. Yeah. And he's more genuine, and he's not a part of the political... Like, all of that stuff. It doesn't really matter what he does at this point because he's not going to accomplish what Bernie Sanders accomplishes.
So let me just make one quick point about, the one big difference between Sanders and O'Malley. O'Malley focuses on anecdotes to make his points, right? And when you mention anecdotal evidence, let's say when you're doing a newscast, it's easy for people to write you off as someone who's just using anecdotal evidence. Bernie talks about the big picture, right? He doesn't say, oh, I met this family here, and then I did this there. No, he's like, okay, here's a big picture. This percentage of Americans have stagnant wages. This percentage of Americans are going to retire with nothing, to retire on. Like, he has big picture ideas and big picture examples. And I think that's what speaks to the electorate more than... I met this family in Iowa and they're having a hard time with their pig farm.
No, that's such a great point because there's two elements to that, right? One is, I hadn't noticed it until you just said it. Bernie never does anecdotes, right? And
today he did give the mic over to a woman who told about how she's been struggling. And I had been criticizing him recently on my show that I like that he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that. There's a woman in Kansas City. But a little bit of that shows that he's not just an academic, that he does understand that all these stats he throws around do actually turn into people when you get to the ground.
No,
but it can be a very small amount of that.
Wait.
That's fine. That's what I want.
Yes,
but he did it. But he did it at his speech. He didn't do it at the town hall.
I agree.
Okay,
I agree.
so
yes.
So yes. He doesn't give you bullshit anecdotes because which leads me to my second point, which is because he's running for something, right? He's not running. Like, do you do the anecdotes to try to win people over, right? Bernie Sanders is not trying to win them over with, like, bullshit political practices. He's trying to win them over with his ideas. He's like, look, I'm running for president, not because I want to be president, but because we really got to make sure we have Medicare for all and we can get education for your kids. Whereas Martin O'Malley used the anecdote for his own purposes, right? As all politicians do, with apparently the exception of Bernie Sanders. And that's why it makes a big difference.
Using the anecdote is fine if you just thought of the anecdote at that moment. If I feel like you had been preparing to use it, fuck you.
That's because it seems fake.
Yes.